So, well, with that, and we hope our colleagues join us momentarily. It is right at 8:30. I will call our regular quarterly meeting to order this morning, Friday, June 15th. Just a reminder that we are both on live stream and being recorded after the meeting. We may well have special guests and media present. And once again, I want to welcome our state auditors from the Comptroller's Office, who, of course, are working on our sunset audit. Chancellor, do you have any opening remarks before we get down to business here?
Again, just to welcome everybody back today. Thank you for the great job yesterday. That was some great conversation. I appreciate everybody being with us. And I will just one housekeeping detail. You may want to mute your mics if you are not speaking. We seem to be having a good bit of feedback. So thank you for that. And I look forward to the rest of our meeting this morning.
Excellent. Thank you, Chancellor. So with that, and in the hopes that we can, as she said, have good conversation, but be efficient with our time this morning as well. Sandra, let's call the roll. As everyone knows, we'll have the 2 questions to answer as well.
Thank you, Madam Chair. In accordance with Tennessee Code Annotated 844-108C3, there are 2 questions that need to be answered by regents for the record. First, can the regent simultaneously hear and speak with others participating in the meeting? And second, is the regent alone in the room? If the answer to both questions is yes, the regent can simply answer yes to both questions. Anyone who is not alone should identify any other people present in the room with the regent. When I call your name, please answer these 2 questions. Governor Lee. Regent Apple.
Here and yes to both questions.
Thank you. Regent Burdine.
Here, yes to both questions.
Thank you. Regent Duckett.
Here and yes to both questions.
Thank you. Regent George.
Present and yes to both questions.
Thank you. Regent Gill.
Here and yes to both questions.
Thank you. Dr. Goldsmith.
Here, yes to both questions.
Thank you. Regent Green.
I am here and yes to both questions.
Thank you. Regent Hatch.
Here and yes to both questions.
Commissioner Hatcher.
Here, yes to both questions.
Thank you. And Regent House. Regent McElyea.
And yes to both questions.
Thank you. And Regent Powers.
Here and yes to both questions.
Regent Reed.
Here and yes to both questions.
Thank you. Vice Chair Reynolds. You're muted.
Sorry about that. Here and yes to both.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Schwinn. Regent Barlin.
Here and yes to both.
Thank you. Regent Womp.
Here and yes to both.
Thank you. And Regent White.
Here and yes to both.
Madam Chair, you have a quorum.
Excellent. Don't go too far because we're going to do one more thing here in our housekeeping. As we did yesterday, obviously, we because of the pandemic and the planning required to visit one of our campuses for a meeting, we had to make an early call that we would meet again electronically today. I do consequently need a motion to confirm that necessity to meet electronically for this quarter. And I will entertain that from any interested board member.
So moved, Apple.
Thank you, Regent.
Second, Hatch.
Thank you. And I think I heard Regent White on that as well. So thanks to you both. Any discussion? If not, here she comes again. Sandra, let's call the roll. Thank you.
Thank you. Regent Apple.
Aye.
Regent Burdine.
Aye.
Regent Duckett.
Aye.
Regent George.
Aye.
Regent Gill.
Aye.
Regent Goldsmith.
Aye.
Regent Green.
Aye.
Regent Hatch,
Aye.
Commissioner Hatcher,
Aye.
Regent McEllier,
Aye.
Regent Powers,
Aye.
Vice Chair Reynolds,
Aye.
Regent Varlin,
Aye.
Regent Wamp,
Aye.
Regent White.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thanks, everyone. You have in our board books, our packets, the meeting minutes from March 25, our last regular quarterly meeting. Does anyone have any changes, corrections to those minutes? If not, we'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved. Green.
Thank you, Regent Green. A second, please.
Second, Burdine.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we will now act on the motion to approve those minutes from March 25. And once again, I'll vote.
Thank you. Regent Apple,
Aye.
Regent Burdine,
Aye.
Regent Duckett,
Aye.
Regent George, Regent George.
Aye.
Thank you. Regent Gill,
Yes.
Regent Goldsmith,
Aye.
Regent Green,
Aye.
Regent Hatch,
Aye.
Commissioner Hatcher,
Aye.
Regent McEllier,
Aye.
Regent Powers,
Aye.
Vice Chair Reynolds,
Aye.
Regent Varlin,
Aye.
Regent Wamp,
Aye.
Regent White.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you very much. Chancellor, your report on interim action, please, ma'am.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The interim action report was included in the materials made available to all board members prior to our meeting today. This report constitutes a record of business transacted by the Office of the Chancellor since the previous quarterly meeting of the board. Madam Chair, pending any questions, I recommend the board's approval of the report of interim action.
Any questions for the Chancellor on the interim action report? And if there are none, once again, we'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved, Hatch.
Thank you. Thank you, Mary Lou. Any further discussion? We have a motion and a second to approve the Chancellor's interim action report. Sandra, would you please call the roll?
Thank you. Regent Apple,
Aye.
Regent Burdine,
Aye.
Regent Duckett,
Aye.
Regent George,
Aye.
Regent Gill,
Aye.
Regent Goldsmith,
Aye.
Regent Green,
Aye.
Regent Hatch,
Aye.
Commissioner Hatcher,
Aye.
Regent McEllier,
Aye.
Regent Powers,
Aye.
Vice Chair Reynolds,
Aye.
Regent Varlin,
Aye.
Regent Wamp,
Aye.
Regent White.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you all very much. As Chancellor mentioned as we opened, we did a good bit of work yesterday in our committees. We'll hear all 4 committee reports. We'll take up personnel a little later in this meeting. The good news is we do not have to vote on these individually. We'll take a vote at the end on all 4 committee reports. So Regent Apple, I'd like to start with you on academic policies and programs, please.
Thank you, Vice Chair Reynolds. The Academic Policies and Programs and Student Life Committee met in a public session yesterday to review and consider the following items. The consent agenda that included proposed revisions to TBR Policy 203-0101, undergraduate academic retention and GPA standards. Proposed revision to TBR Policy 6030000, Sexual Misconduct. Proposed revision to TBR Policy 1060005, Procedures for Cases Subject to the Uniform Administrative Procedures Act. And proposed revisions to TBR Policy 3020001, Student Conduct and Disciplinary Procedures. Second, the proposed program terminations, modifications, new technical programs, implementations for TCATs. And finally, the accreditation summary report and overview for 2019-2020. Madam Chair, this concludes my report of the June 17th, 2021 meeting of the Committee on Academic Policies and Programs in Student Life as presented.
Well done. Thank you. Any questions for Regent Apple? Hearing none. Regent Varlin, you too had a robust meeting. We'll call on you for your external affairs report, please.
We sure did, and thank you. The report of the Committee on External Affairs meeting on, let's see, June, hang on one second. I need to make sure I've got the right paper. Okay, the External Affairs Committee met in regular session to review the following items: Government Relations Legislative Update of the second session of the 111th General Assembly, Advancement Update, Marketing and Digital Strategy Update, and Campus Safety and Security Update. So, Madam Chair, this concludes my report of the June 18, 2020 meeting of the External Affairs Committee.
It's a pretty short report for all the good work we heard yesterday. Thank you. Thank you for being so concise. But it was a good committee meeting. Thanks again to the team.
It was awesome.
It was.
Okay.
Thank you. Regent Burdine, Workforce Development, also a great discussion.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The Workforce Development Committee met in regular session on Thursday, 17th of June, 2021 to review the following items: an update on Center for Workforce Development Projects, a presentation on meeting agricultural industry needs featuring the Indigo Ag programs. Madam Chair, this concludes my report of the June 17, 2021 meeting of the Workforce Development Committee.
Excellent. Thank you, sir. And Commissioner Hatcher, you were missed yesterday in this Workforce Development Committee meeting. We learned a lot about Indigo Ag and all the good work being done in ag technology.
Yeah, that's been one of the things that's been in their mission since they started. How did that turn out?
It was a great report, and you need to see the video that the team put together with the colleges involved, our students. It was a great retrospective and perspective on the work being done.
Okay, I look forward to seeing it.
Absolutely. We thank you for your leadership. And finally, from June 1, Chairman Hatch on the Audit Committee's work, please, sir.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The Audit Committee met in regular session on June 1st, 2021 to review and recommend approval of the following items: Federal Comptroller's Office miscellaneous and internal audit reports, system-wide internal audit updates, university updates, revisions to fiscal year 2021 internal audit plans, and the fiscal year 2022 budget for the Office of System-Wide Internal Audit. Madam Chair, this concludes my report on the June 1st, 2021 Audit Committee meeting.
Thank you, Regent Hatch. We have now heard from all four committees, from both audit from June 1 and the three from yesterday. If there's no discussion on committee reports, we'll entertain a motion to approve those, please.
I move for approval.
Thank you, Regent Burdine. And a second?
Tom.
Regent White, was that you?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, thank you very much. Any discussion? If not, Sanja, let's call the roll to approve our committee reports, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Regent Apple?
Aye.
Regent Burdine?
Aye.
Regent Duckett?
Aye.
Thank you. Regent George?
Aye.
Regent Gill,
Aye.
Regent Goldsmith,
Aye.
Regent Green,
Aye.
Regent Hatch,
Aye.
Commissioner Hatcher,
Aye.
Regent McEllier,
Aye.
Regent Powers,
Aye.
Vice Chair Reynolds,
Aye.
Regent Varlin,
Aye.
Regent Wamp.
Aye.
Thank you. And Regent White.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Danny Varlin, I'm coming back to you to talk about our recent philanthropy awards, and there are 3 exciting ones today.
That's correct, and thank you very much, Vice Chair Reynolds. The Tennessee Board of Regents Award for Excellence in Philanthropy is a unique designation. It is given only to the most honored and devoted philanthropists for their support of our institutions throughout the TBR system. We're going to begin with the 2020 Regents Award for Excellence in Philanthropy given to Barry and Lucy Stevenson, nominated by Rome State Community College. Barry and Lucy Stevenson have supported Rome State Community College programs extensively for over 15 years, most notably through a scholarship endowment supporting nursing students from Rome County, as well as the innovative Lab in a Box program, a public-private partnership at Rome State. It was through Barry Stevenson's leadership on the Family Medicine Associates of Kingston Board of Directors that the organization distributed funds of over $400,000 to the Rome State Foundation to establish a nursing student scholarship endowment. Through their company, Materials and Chemistry Lab, Inc., located in Oak Ridge, Tennessee, the Stevensons became regular supporters of Rome State with donations totaling over $150,000 for both Oak Ridge and Rome County students and the Lab in a Box STEM program. In 2006, Barry joined the board of directors of the Rome State Foundation, actively assisting with foundation events, solicitations, and business partnerships. One of the most notable of Rome State's business and education partnerships was the formation of the Lab in a Box program in 2010, which provides science kits, including materials and lesson plans, to rural school districts. Each kit can cost up to $5,000 to create, with additional costs for faculty stipends and training. Barry Stevenson and his company often assisted and ensured that the college provided stipends for faculty. As a volunteer, Barry has led the development of this program from its inception and remains involved today. By early 2011, largely due to Barry's influence and efforts, nearly $80,000 was raised through the businesses and individual members of the East Tennessee Economic Council and others. As a founder of the Rural Community STEM Initiative and Lab in a Box, Barry continues to welcome the input of Rome State faculty and administration with regard to fundraising and curriculum development. Rome State's grant development specialists, in collaboration with the foundation, have been able to leverage more than $50,000 in grants to support the Lab in a Box program. Barry has served as a past board chair of the Rome State Foundation and also on the investment committee. Currently, he serves on the legacy committee of the foundation board. Barry and his wife, Lucy, make their home in Kingston, Tennessee, which is just a few miles from Rome County campus. While the professional achievements and connections that Barry holds are significant, he has the support and encouragement of his wife, Lucy. Together, leveraging friendships, personal and professional, as well as business connections, the Stevensons' impact has been profound. The couple is known throughout Rome County for their love of their community and beloved for their famous relationship-building annual backyard barbecues, which are awesome, by the way. Today, dozens of Rome State students have received scholarships from the endowment they helped to launch, and many more young students have experienced STEM education through Lab in a Box kits. Rome State Community College is honored to have Barry and Lucy Stevenson as community partners and supporters. They are deserving of this honor for their unwavering commitment to and compassion for higher education. I had the privilege of presenting this award to the Stevensons on March 29, 2021 at Rome State Community College. They are amazing people. I saw him this morning. I had a meeting in Oak Ridge at 7:30 and told him I would be presenting this to the board. It is hard to even explain the impact that this Lab in a Box program has had. on the students in the area that they've been supplied, and the unbelievable support that the Stevensons have had from the National Lab, all of the Oak Ridge partners in making this program possible and continuing it. So on behalf of the Tennessee Board of Regents, we are proud to recognize Barry and Lucy Stevenson's excellence in philanthropy. Next is the 2020 Regents Award for Excellence in Philanthropy. I can't say that word. Philanthropy, presented to the town of Smyrna, nominated by Motlow State Community College. The town of Smyrna, along with the late mayor, Bob Spivey, paved the way for Motlow State Community College to have a dedicated Rutherford County location. This commitment to Smyrna and the Rutherford County residents literally changed the trajectory of this community as well as Motlow State College. Because the town of Smyrna and its visionary leaders have championed the pathway for citizens in Rutherford County and surrounding areas to obtain a quality higher education in their very own community, the quality of life in the community are stronger. The town of Smyrna administrators and staff have been and continue to be instrumental in supporting the college at various functions and events. The town of Smyrna recognized the value of higher education, providing the skill sets for university transfers and workforce growth. The total estimated value of the land and cash contributions that the town of Smyrna has donated to Motlow State Community College is $2,423,000. The town has contributed to all facets of fundraising for the college, including support of capital campaigns, the Motlow Gala, golf tournaments, student scholarships, special events, and unrestricted giving. Currently, Rutherford County is the 5th most populous county in the state of Tennessee, and predictions are that the county will continue to grow for the foreseeable future, thus increasing the need to have a skilled and educated workforce. The town of Smyrna is deserving of this honor for its unwavering commitment to and compassion for higher education. Regent Mary Lou App presented this prestigious award on June 10, 2021 at the Motlow State Community College's Smyrna campus. Mayor Esther Reed, along with other representatives, accepted the award on behalf of the town of Smyrna. The persons in the photograph from left to right are Motlow State College President Michael Torrance, town of Smyrna staff, Rex Gaither, Assistant Town Manager Jerry Short, Council Member Mayor, Jerry Short, Council Member Mayor Mary Esther Reed, Vice Mayor Mark Atkins, Regent Mary Lou Apple, and Eugene London, Foundation Chair. On behalf of the Tennessee Board of Regents, we are proud to recognize the town of Smyrna for its excellence in philanthropy. For additional comments, I would ask that Dr. Michael Torrance step toward the podium. So, President Torrance, are you here?
Yes, Regent Varlin.
Hello? Oh, okay.
Yes, ma'am, I'm here. Good morning, Madam Chair, Chancellor Tidings, Regent Varlin, and Regent Green, and definitely Regent Apple. Not that I don't recognize the other regents, but these are the folks that I spend a lot of time with. I want to thank you for recognizing and accepting our recommendation to have the town of Smyrna recognized for their continued contributions to Motlow State Community College, but also more importantly to our community. In some of our most socioeconomically disadvantaged areas, the town of Smyrna, Mayor Mary Esther Reed, and her team continue to support us as we continue to push for supportive opportunities through workforce development and student success, our mission for the Tennessee Board of Regents and Motlow State Community College. There's so many more things I could say, but I want to make sure that I keep my comments brief. And more importantly, it is almost as good to give this report as it's good to see human beings on the other end. I look forward to seeing you guys in the real in the next coming quarter. Thank you, Regent Varlin, and thank you to the Tennessee Board of Regents for recognizing the town of Smyrna.
Thank you, President Torrance. And the final acknowledgement for excellence in philanthropy is a 2021 Regents Award given to the Ford family, nominated by Dyersburg State Community College. The Ford family are dedicated advocates of higher education, and their contributions reflect their commitment to educating the workforce and building local communities. They have contributed to the Dyersburg State Annual Fund since 1986 and have awarded more than 131 scholarships to deserving Dyersburg State students since 1988. Mr. John Ford of the Ford Construction Company, Miss Edie Ford, and Miss Amy Ford have a cumulative giving total to Dyersburg State of $493,315.57 as of December 31st, 2020. Their generous support has impacted students' lives and allowed Dyersburg State to elevate the region's educational attainment. Ford Construction Company awards an annual scholarship in memory of Charles F. Moore to a full-time student majoring in accounting. The Ford family and the Ford Construction Company have established an endowment scholarship in memory of William Kent Ford. John Ford has served and is still serving on both the Dyersburg State Community College Foundation Board and the Annual Fund Campaign Committee for over 21 years. The Ford family is deserving of this honor for their unwavering commitment and compassion for higher education. On June 3rd, 2021, Regent Nisha Powers presented her first Regents Award to philanthropist John Ford. This presentation took place at the Dyersburg State Community College, and Regent Powers did an excellent job conveying TBR's appreciation to the philanthropist and Dyersburg State Community College. On behalf of the Tennessee Board of Regents, we are proud to recognize the Ford family's excellence in philanthropy, and for additional comments, I'd like to call on Dr. Karen Bauer to step toward the podium.
President Boyer, are you on the call? I checked with her a few moments ago and I haven't heard from her. Perhaps Regent Powers would like to say something. She was at that presentation.
Good morning. I cannot do justice for Dr. Boyer because she just, when she speaks, it's like poetry. So I will just suffice it to say that it was an incredible experience as a first timer, and the support from the community, Ford family being one of a couple of others that were receiving awards that night, was just a tremendous privilege. And thank you for allowing me to represent the Regents.
Thank you, Regent. Are there any other comments?
Very good. Thank you, Regent Barlin. Regent Barlin, you're fading out on us.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Sorry.
There we go. There we go.
Okay. There you go.
Great job. And gosh, what an impact these folks have made on their communities. That's what this is all about. And I love it that all three grand divisions were represented in this report. So that was very meaningful. And to Regents Apple and Powers, and to you, Regent Barlin, thanks for taking the time to be part of these presentations. These always give me goosebumps. Thank you. With that, Chancellor, you are up with your report, and I know there's a lot going on.
Thank you so much, Vice Chair Reynolds. Yes, there is a good bit that I would like to share with the board today, and I'm going to start with giving you an update on our presidential searches that we have underway. Beginning with Vol State, the search committee for the new president of Vol State Community College chose 3 finalists earlier this week to advance to the second round. Those names have just been made public. They are Dr. Jothany Blackwood, Vice President for Academic Success at San Antonio College in San Antonio, Texas, Dr. Orinthia T. Montague, President of Tompkins Cortland Community College in Dryden, New York, and Dr. Irene Rios, Chief Executive Officer of Suffolk County Community College in Ammerman Campus in Suffolk County. Those individuals will be participating on June 22nd, 23rd, and 24th on campus, where candidates will attend various meetings with professional staff and faculty, ending each day with an open forum that will be live streamed. I hope each of you will be able to watch the live stream and then give your feedback on your impressions of those candidates. Our goal is to bring a recommendation for the new president to the board at a special called meeting in mid-July, with anticipation of the new president being in place by 1st of September. With regard to TCAP McMinnville, the search committee for this group is also well underway. The committee is currently reviewing the first round of candidates after their initial interviews to determine who the finalist will be to move on to second round. These finalists are scheduled to be interviewed also in mid-July, and interviews will involve members of the campus and community. The goal is to bring the recommendation for a new president of TCAP McMinnville to the board, also in a special called meeting with a start date of September. There is one other search that I'd like to bring to your attention, and you know, with my sad announcement that Sanja has decided to retire, I was reminded that that meant I really did have to search for a new person to come in behind her. She and I've had great discussions talking about trying to get this person on board prior to her leaving so that she can do some training with the individual that will come on. I'm very thankful to Regent Reynolds and to Regent Green and to our counselor Brian Lapps for agreeing to serve with me on the committee to try and find a person to take on these duties. And I cannot say to replace because there is no replacement for Sanja Mason. But we will keep you updated as we continue with that search. I'd also like to give you just a brief update about fall term. Over the past year, as you know, our faculty at community and technical colleges have transformed the delivery of instruction to our students. Their efforts ensured that students continue to receive high quality, hands-on instruction in a safe environment. And all of you have heard me say many times, we never closed. Our faculty and our staff just simply went out and regrouped and did what they needed to do to continue to serve our students. Our community colleges are now preparing a full fall return to in-person instruction. But while I would also like to remind you that we have discovered many of our students are preferring to remain online, remote, and in hybrid classes. So our faculty and staff have once again adjusted their demand to provide that option for many of our students. At our technical colleges, they basically were back in person after about 3 weeks of regrouping. They were fully back in person by spring and summer of this year and will continue to do so in the upcoming fall. And basically for our technical colleges, we did not see a decline in enrollment, so it is business as usual as we begin back with them for fall. For our community colleges, as you know, we did have a decline. We are anticipating that that will be up for fall. We are still getting those numbers coming in, and I'll send that out to you as soon as we know more about what that looks like. But again, let me just say kudos to all of our colleges, to our faculty, and to our staff for continuing to navigate and excel in what is now considered our new normal as we go forward in instruction. And as all of you are aware, Governor Lee placed within the 2021-22 state budget an investment to reduce the Tennessee Colleges of Applied Technology wait list. And the legislature approved this investment in our technical colleges. The governor has allocated $55 million for this first year to cover costs for staffing, equipment, and facility renovation and expansion. This appropriation will allow us to train more Tennesseans for high skill, high wage, and emerging employment opportunities across the state. Executive Vice Chancellor Gibbs, Michael Tinsley, and myself have just completed meetings with each of the TCAP presidents to review what they were asking for within the budget, focusing on their local workforce needs, student access, and how they would plan to implement these new sections and programs in their colleges. Many of these requests can be accomplished with adding additional faculty and equipment to existing space, but also many of these requests are requiring renovations and additions to the colleges. And as you can imagine, those will not happen overnight, but we will begin the process just as quickly as the money is in the budget. We are also hoping to implement a 14-day program review and approval for any new CAT Technical College sections that will be associated with this capacity initiative. We plan to bring those approvals to you in mid-July for a quick turnaround on a 14-day approval process. Again, trying to meet the demand to have those programs up and running by fall. A significant factor in expanding technical college capacity is ensuring that the local regional economy can absorb additional graduates and that students are placed into high demand jobs. I would also like to give my sincere gratitude to Governor Lee and the legislators for the support of this initiative moving forward. I'd also like today to update you just a little bit on cybersecurity. It is a topic that has been on the forefront of many of our minds as we've watched what's happened across our country. So at this time, I just want to provide for you an update on what we do at the central office. Almost every day we hear of how sensitive and private information is being breached by cyber attacks. TBR has many responsibilities, but at the top of the list is to be good stewards of the data that falls under our supervision. Our Office of Information Technology devotes a great deal of time and attention to cybersecurity and has for a very long time. The threat landscape is constantly changing, and that means that the programs and policies in place for mitigating risk must be regularly updated to try to stay ahead of these threats. We do take a defensive, in-depth approach using multi-layered control processes meant to put up as many barriers as possible on our networks to avoid security breaches. It is impossible to predict a security breach, but in order to be prepared, we should always assume that our organization will have some form of an attack, and we should always be planning accordingly. With that in mind, we continually evaluate and collaborate with our peers in higher education at the state and local level and with security leaders in the private sector. Over the past several years, TBR has increased investments in cybersecurity programs with dedicated staff, increased security-focused software, and training. Based on the current top security risk, we have focused on controls and investments in the following areas: user training, data loss protection, identity management, vendor risk management, Microsoft Azure infrastructure, on-campus infrastructure investments, security training and education. And we also have a benchmark to help us understand how we are doing. It's called the Microsoft Secure Score. This score allows us to measure our security posture. I'm very pleased to report that we received a good score in our last evaluation, and we have processes in place to address areas where any needed improvement was noted. Microsoft's Secure Score also revealed to us that our score is better than the average of our peers in similar organizations. Now, reporting on cybersecurity is challenging because I can't share too many details about the information in our methods. And security scores and specific information need to be kept private because it would put us at risk. But it is my intent to let you know how important cybersecurity is to the central office and that we do have multiple measures in place to help avoid attacks without publicly revealing too much. Are there any questions about any of that? Okay. Well, on my next topic today, as many of you are aware, federal legislation has allocated funding to higher education institutions to award emergency financial aid grants to students and to provide for institutional costs associated with COVID-19, or called the Higher Education Emergency Relief Fund, HERF, as we call it. Today, I have asked Jonathan Button, Associate Vice Chancellor for Student and Financial Aid Services, to provide an update regarding the system's progress in awarding these student emergency aid funds. Jonathan, if you would please come on and give that update to the board.
Well, thank you, and good morning, Chancellor, Madam Chair, and Regents. So during today's update, you'll hear me reference HERF 1, HERF 2, and HERF 3, and those three together form the Higher Education Emergency Relief Fund. So those allocations make up the overall allocation that the system office received, and that amount right now for the student emergency aid stands at a little over $184 million. Now, with this, we had three main things in line for this aid. First, we wanted a consistent approach utilized to award emergency aid across the system. Second, we wanted to assure as many students who were eligible for the aid received the aid while also prioritizing those students who had the most need. And the third part is we wanted to emphasize innovative use of technology to disperse those payments very quickly and accurately to that student body. If we'll go ahead and go to the next slide, what we will do is first talk about what we have had with disbursements at the community colleges. So first with CARES, and CARES is known as HERF 1 as well. A little over $25 million has been fully dispersed from the CARES funds to those students. And those students' awards at the community college is a little over 44,658 awards. For the HERF 2, the HERF 2 allocation was the same as the HERF 1 allocation. So at this point, we're a little over $25 million dispersed, and that's to over 48,000 students. And for HERF 3, those funds have just recently been awarded, so we expect to begin dispersing those funds very soon to students. At the technical colleges, we're a little over $6.5 million dispersed to 8,687 students with the HERF 1 CARES. And with the HERF 2, right now we stand at a little over $6.2 million dispersed to 7,962 students. And just as with community colleges with HERF 3, the HERF 3 funds have just recently been awarded, and we do expect to begin dispersing very soon on the HERF 3 funds. So altogether, system-wide, we stand at about 110,000 disbursements to students with a little over $69 million dispersed. And thank you, Chancellor.
Thank you, Jonathan. Madam Vice Chair, that completes my report unless there are any questions that would like to be asked.
Chancellor, I've got a question. How much per student? Yeah. Is there an average?
Yes, Jonathan?
There is an average per student. It's across the board a little bit. So with the HERF 1, the payments typically fell in about a $500 range. With HERF 2, we're about the same amount. Some students get a little bit more than that. But with HERF 3, because that is the majority of this, HERF 3 accounts for about 119 million of the overall 184 million. We do expect those payments, the average across the board, to go up just a little bit per student. And I will also say that was for the main payments across the board. We did also have special allocations held back for special payments to students. So individuals who were in desperate need of funds could request a little bit more than that. So there were some payments across the board, a little bit more than the average.
And how do you determine need?
We used, the Department of Education had suggested using Pell eligibility, so the expected family contribution from the FAFSA application as a pretty consistent approach. And that's what we used for the majority of those payments. But students were also able to fill out special applications and indicate their specific needs for those special payments.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
For the HERF 3 funding, are these students, will they need to be enrolled currently with us? How does that work?
The way the funds are now allocated, the FAQs just were released about a month ago, and right now it's any student who was enrolled at any point at the institution after March 13th of 2020. So we would start with current enrolled students, but if an individual who is enrolled at any point after that date was to come to the institution and say there was a need, maybe it's a past due balance that would need to be covered at the institution, they could still request funding for that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Madam Chair, that completes my report.
Excellent. And Jonathan, once again from the board, our sincere thanks for the extraordinary work you've done. This has been a heavy lift, and we are grateful to you.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Chancellor, great report. And again, I know there is a lot going on. So thank you for all you were managing for the system. I want to go back, if she's still with us, to Dr. Boyer, who has joined. And I know she wants to say another word about the Ford family and their generosity to Dyersburg State. And Dr. Boyer, Regent Powers spoke. We're so glad she was able to join you on that special occasion.
Well, thank you very much, Madam Chair and members of the board. It's really been a pleasure, Chancellor Tidings, Regent Varlin, and Regent Powers. Thank you for being with us that evening. It really was icing on the cake. She did a tremendous job of presenting the award, and I think John Ford said he was going to take that beautiful piece of glass that the Board of Regents has, decided is the award and take it home to his mother. And she was one of our first contributors. She's still living getting close to 100 years old, but I see her often, and she is so proud of the college and all the students that we have here, and is a generous contributor every year. And we're wrapping up our annual fund right now, and I know John Ford is out there this morning collecting a few checks yet. He's been a tremendous supporter of the college for, I think we noted in there, 21 years, and really probably longer than that. So Regent Powers, thank you again for coming to Dyersburg that evening. It was just really a pleasure to have you with us. So thank you. And thank you, Madam Chair, for the opportunity. I apologize for a little technology glitch earlier, but thank you.
Not a problem. We are glad you're here, and you set the pace for everyone on the fundraising side of the equation. So we are very grateful for your leadership.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you. So with that, let's turn to our unfinished business and to our Executive Vice Chancellor, Russ Deaton, for conversation around our strategic plan.
Thank you, Vice Chair Reynolds, Dr. Tidings, members of the board. Good morning to each of you, and it's a pleasure to bring before you the final recommendations for the 2015-25 strategic plan mid-cycle review. I'm glad, Vice Chair, you flashed it on the screen. I do hope that the U.S. Postal Service got those hard copies to each board member. They were mailed out last Friday. And then, of course, you received a link to the actual plan itself, the interactive version of it, on our website for your review. So I want to do a couple of things this morning, and first is to sort of go back to the beginning of this and kind of walk the board through the highlights of where we've been the last year or so and how this process has unfolded, and in particular, what we're bringing before you substantively for the plan itself. Go ahead, please, Carol. So again, this was a mid-cycle review, and the foundation of the existing plan, that 10-year plan, which was first envisioned in 2015, is the educational attainment goal of the state to achieve 55% of Tennesseans, adult Tennesseans, with a post-secondary credential by 2025. That plan, of course, envisioned this mid-cycle review. 10 years is a long time. But we also made an adjustment, the board did in 2017, adding another pillar to the initial plan, which was a partnership and advocacy pillar. So it's been adjusted once before. But over the last 6 years or so, obviously, there have been quite a few changes across Tennessee, across TBR. Of course, the Focus Act, which splintered the governance and rearranged it across Tennessee higher education. The COVID-19 pandemic and the changes it continues to provide on our campuses, and of course leadership changes with the arrival of Dr. Tidings in 2017, all of which really, I think, brings to the forefront the need for that mid-cycle review, which we just have gone through. So important to the process was gathering quite a few voices in this, both internally and, of course, externally. And these really manifested themselves in three ways. And first, of course, is engagement with this body, with the board. And since we began the process late in calendar 2019, we've brought you quarterly meeting updates. Of course, we had some really substantive board workshops in the early part of 2021. And of course, a discussion at committee chairs a few weeks ago to set the stage for today's conversation. In addition to that, of course, we also had board representation on the steering committee, and I want to thank Vice Chair Reynolds and Regent Apple and formerly Regent Prescott for being on that steering committee and helping us do the heavy lifting of thinking through the strategic plan pillars and themes. That committee met many times over, of course, the last 18 months or so. In addition to board members, it had presidents, 2 from the TCATs, 2 from community colleges, representatives from across the institution representing faculty and academic affairs, etc. We also had agency partners from the State Department of Education, Department of Agriculture, and of course, Labor. And then finally, we had some external voices from Achieving the Dream. We had our system office coaches who have been with us now for a couple years and know TBR and Tennessee really, really intimately. And leadership from a national organization called the National Center for Higher Education Management Systems, which is probably the premier governance and policy think tank in higher education across the U.S. And their President Emeritus, Dennis Jones, joined us that day too. And then finally, we had quite a few what we called partner conversations, not only with our colleges, of course, but also with just other constituents throughout our universe and our sphere of influence that would have both some honest feedback to give TBR and, we thought, productive perspective about where our future ought to take us. Everything from, of course, our presidents. We met with student government leaders. We met with leadership from the Chamber of Commerce, the Tennessee Business Roundtable. We joined the statewide workforce board for one of their retreats one day to discuss the plan. We also met with leadership from the Ayers Foundation and Tennessee Achieves to get their perspective on TBR. And then finally, we had a roundtable one day where we gathered leadership from TCUA, which is the private college organization in Tennessee, UT, the LGIs, SCORE, and THEC to, again, get perspective from our higher education partners, all of which, of course, began to coalesce around several key themes which emerged from these conversations. And those themes began to form the structure, the foundation of the plan, as you've seen. And that is, of course, our identity as an open access system, continuing the focus that Drive to 55 started on completion, and then really highlighting the impact that our colleges make not only on individuals, but on their communities and the local economy through our historic strength of workforce development. Go ahead, please, Carol. Those themes also began to converge around some other ideas that really spoke to how we're to achieve those. If we identified access and completion and our impact, well, how do we go about that? And we began to identify ideas that really spoke to how that's accomplished. And those are, of course, the idea of being collaborative, innovative, the leverage we can utilize as a system to build capacity, and of course a focus on equity. Being an open access system, that goes hand in hand, and that issue has been accentuated the last couple of years. All of which, again, came together in a plan that we wanted, of course, to be useful to the campuses, specific enough, but also broadly defined so that it is flexible and that it can, where needed, adjust and accommodate changes, whether it's in policy, context, leadership, etc. So as you have the document in front of you, and as you've seen hopefully on the website, again, those 3 pillars, which again are grounded in Drive to 55, are open access, completion, and the community and workforce development. Each of those pillars in the document opens up with a declarative statement. What do we mean by that? How does TBR put into words the idea of open access? And then secondly, what are some of the innovations and programs underway now that manifest that idea? Not necessarily the most important ones, but just ones that we think really highlight what that means to TBR, and some data to support that. Of course, on the interactive infographic, all of that is linked to program pages that provide more information on those programs and data. It's meant to be exploratory so the user can understand what those programs mean, get a bird's eye view of how they operate, and connect them back to the overall theme here. The second one, of course, is the completion theme. Again, same thing, a declarative statement along with some data that this board traditionally sees on these kinds of things. and some examples of programs that you hear about throughout the year with us that we, again, think really not only support the theme, but really give it some life and some structure. And then finally, same thing with community and workforce development, a declarative statement saying what we mean by that, trying to reflect the conversations that the board had and the steering committee had over the course of this process. Again, along with initiatives and programs that exemplified that theme, and in this case with data from our 2018 economic impact study. Again, all of which on the website is live with links to those reports and to those programs. So where the plan, and this is really on the back of the hard copy when you see the unabridged list of programs and innovations, what that attempts to do is to take the two main vectors that we discussed here, again, those three foundational pillars across the top there, along with those cross-cutting themes, which really touch and are connected to each one of the pillars independently, putting those essentially in a grid, in a matrix here to illustrate how those are structured. And as we begin to think about our programs and innovations, we wanted to begin to help organize those in a way that hopefully will provide some structure to the board and to the user. So for instance, and you could go ahead and click one spot, please, Carol. The SAILS program, an acronym, those of you that have not studied the acronym book yet, Seamless Alignment and Integrated Learning Support. TBR is longstanding and most innovative program in the U.S. to really address student academic preparation needs before they get to college. That, of course, has connections to not only the access mission of TBR, but obviously somewhat completion as well. And it's, of course, a collaborative between the K-12 sector and higher ed. So that sort of fits within that box, so to speak. And all of these boundaries are kind of fuzzy. Many of the programs and innovations connect with different pillars and different themes. But again, it's a way of organizing the work. This structure exists. Secondly, click through next, please, Carol. The recent work, which has blossomed in the last year or so, an initiative of Governor Lee, higher education in prisons, to really take TCAT and community college programs into state correction facilities to make that a priority. It's another manifestation of our open access mission, which of course has dramatic changes on workforce development and community impact, which again is a collaboration among not only Department of Corrections and higher ed and even philanthropic partners. And Carol, click through two more times. So again, board members, we began to then populate the various initiatives we have, and one more time, please, Carol, within this grid. And so again, providing a structure for the board to connect everything you would hear from us and hear and see presentation-wise in a given year with how it connects back with the structure, the foundation of the plan, trying to get a sense of where those themes on the left connect with those foundational philosophical pillars at the top and how each of our programs and innovations fits into that. So if if taken into action, this plan will, of course, provide a key element for our colleges who build their own strategic plans off of the system document. That's, of course, important to SAC, COC, and accreditation, and COE, and all those plans that will come back before TBR for consideration and action. It's also, I think, structure so that TBR and the board can help understand where all of our existing efforts fit into the overall TBR strategy. We talk about a lot of innovations and a lot of ideas with you, a lot of data, and sometimes it would be able to help to know exactly where that fits into the overall thrust of where we're going as a system, and hopefully this framework and this structure does that. And of course, it's crucial to understand how we're doing on this. Are we making progress? What metrics are important to evaluate where we stand on that plan, not just on the top line number, the drive to 55, but on the other three pillars and the other aspects of the plan. That then comes into play with a series of metrics that we intensely discussed both internally and also with select members of the steering committee to bring forth a handful of items that we think give life to each of these three pillars. And I would submit, too, that many of these you see on a routine basis. Especially in September, we have a lot of information for you about recent enrollments for that fall, graduates, graduation rates, etc. Many of the items on here, again, are things you see throughout the year, and they're quite intuitive, too. And they're ones that we think, again, we can track annually throughout the year, throughout the cycle of the plan to understand how well TBR is fulfilling this. The intent here is that we would bring you also a public-facing dashboard which consolidates all of these disparate pieces into one single spot so that at a moment in time, any board member, anybody, any president can see where we stand on those. Again, many of these already exist within our dashboards, within presentations you're normally receiving, but we will consolidate those into a single dashboard for consideration. And then finally, we've had several lengthy discussions about how to communicate this and how to give it life so that it doesn't simply sit on the shelf and become inert. Again, the interactive infographic is a key strategy to affect that. That gives us affords us the opportunity to have a flexible document that is always publicly available, where anybody can then see exactly what TBR values, what it believes in, how well it's accomplishing that, and what pursuits are underway to accomplish those pillars and those strategies. We also hope in the future to help make these connections for you so that when we talk in the future about, say, dual enrollments or the We All Rise conference or the warranty program, we can fit within this structure, those pillars and those cross-cutting themes, where exactly that connects and how the disparate parts of our work all connect together to form the strategic plan. And then finally, of course, if approved today, all that will be available on the website, but we'll also intend to send hard copies once the fall semester starts to, of course, presidents, all of our partners, steering committee members, and then when the General Assembly reconvenes in January, sending those to members and other political leadership throughout the state, both a hard copy and, of course, a link to the interactive version itself. So, Madam Chair, submit this for consideration and approval. This is culminating the last 18 months or so of work with, of course, the COVID-19 interregnum, but we submit this for your consideration today. And happy to answer questions about any aspect of this too.
Questions or comments for Russ?
Yeah, I've got a couple comments and maybe a couple questions too.
That'd be great. Thanks, Commissioner.
I can't tell you how well done I think this is. It's really impressive. The questions I guess I had was, whose idea was the interactive infographic?
Well, sir, I think everything stems from the conversations with the steering committee and the board, and really a collective effort to put something together that we hoped would be more useful. Having been involved, not at TBR, but at other organizations with 3 of these in the past, as much as we would pour over a narrative that was somewhat lengthy, those tended to not be widely read, let's just say. And so the idea was here to try to put something that's has a more utility for the members and the public.
No, I think it's great. We're trying to put together a 15-year plan for the state, which is a massive task. And I sent this to the governor's office as an example of how it should be done. So I think you'll see some resemblance once ours comes out.
Thank you, Commissioner. That's well said. And I do have, and Russ, this is just for yours and the Chancellor's consideration. To the point Commissioner Hatcher just made, obviously sharing this from a communication standpoint with the governor's office and the state legislature is pivotal. I almost hate to wait until January, just knowing the work that goes on in the summer months and into the fall in preparation for going into session in January. I'm almost ready to suggest we share now and then perhaps again when they reconvene. To the commissioner's point, it's a good piece of work. We all know a lot of groundwork gets laid while they're out of session. I'm a little reluctant to wait, but that may just be me. So it's just food for thought for you guys.
No, Regent Riddle, I concur completely with you. I had the opportunity to share this with 2 of our legislators over the weekend, and they were extremely excited and wanted to get hands-on to the interactive part as quickly as they could as well. So I think that's a great suggestion. And if I might just take a moment to brag on Dr. Deaton and his team and the amount of work that they put into this. Their goal was to have a succinct piece of information that captured what was happening within our system as a framework to move us forward. And I think they did that in ACEs. And as Dr. Deaton has already said, this is not just a white paper that will sit on the shelf somewhere. It has meaning and value to everything that we're doing. I also want to take a moment to brag on Matthew Gann and his group for coming up with the pretty. They took all the information and turned it into something that was an attractive piece of information for us to share. They do such a great job every day, but I cannot say enough good things about the work that every single person that took part in this. And Russ, I don't know if you have a number, a total head count number of the people that interacted in this, but it's well over 100 that we had that touched this. So a lot of great information.
That's exactly right. And Vice Chair, happy to accelerate that timeline, and we will do so. And Chancellor, you beat me to the thanks for Matthew Gann and his team, who were quite patient with me at times too, but to take the ideas and turn them into this, to what appears on the website was a heavy lift, and I'm forever in their debt for the work they did on this.
Let me add one thing, Russ. I truly appreciate it. A lot of what you did is what we're trying to ask faculty to do, to turn a piece of paper or a lecture into something more alive. And that was a tremendous effort. And also, I think it's important for the other regions to understand this document is really used hard, not only at the college level, but it even goes down to faculty goals. We're always linking back to the college's goals and to the goals that are set in this plan. And having a document like this is also going to be incredibly useful for faculty to understand where they fit into the process here in a way that a white paper could never do. So truly appreciate the effort.
Great comment and perspective as always, Regent Goldsmith. Thank you.
Yeah, I just wonder if Russ, are you for hire?
No. No.
Well, we'll have to talk later.
No.
Well said, Dr. Tidings. Well said.
Oh, that's funny. Others? Well, if there are no other comments, and
I'm not kidding about that.
No, I think she knows that.
Russ, this is Regent Gill.
Yes, sir.
Again, congratulations. Be careful with those people coming with off-the-cuff offers. Unless you enjoy milking a cow, some of them can be very dangerous.
That's a good question.
That's great. Well, and thanks to the board for giving us the time and the input along the way. I'm just, like Chancellor, not only am I impressed, but just so many folks from the steering committee to the stakeholder conversations and to our input, coupled with the professionals at TBR. This has really been a good process all around. If there are no other questions or comments for Dr. Deaton and Chancellor, we will entertain a motion to accept this strategic plan.
I make that motion, Apple.
Perfect. Thank you, Regent Apple, and thanks for your service on the committee. A second, please.
Second, Varlin.
Thank you, Regent Varlin. Any further discussion? Hearing none, Sanja, we are ready for you to call the roll on this exciting motion.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Regent Apple.
Aye.
Regent Burdine.
Aye.
Regent Duckett.
An enthusiastic aye.
Thank you. Regent George.
Aye.
Regent Gill.
Aye.
Regent Goldsmith.
Aye.
Regent Green.
Aye.
Regent Hatch.
Aye.
Commissioner Hatcher.
Yes, 100%.
Thank you. I thought you were going to amend the motion to make sure you hired him. Regent McEllier.
Aye.
Regent Powers.
Aye.
Vice Chair Reynolds.
Aye.
Regent Varlin. Regent Varlin? Regent Varlin, can you hear me? She texted me with a yes.
Okay.
Regent Womp?
Aye.
Regent White?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
Excellent. Thank you all. Well done. You guys, it is 9:40. I'm almost reluctant to do this, but we do have a number of items under new business. And I wish I could do this with the same military precision that Regent Apple ran our Vol State Search Committee with so well. But what about simply, now we're at 9:41, a 4-minute break back at 9:45 to move to new business? Is that okay? Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay, 4 minutes, 9:45, we are going to reconvene. Thanks, you guys.
Would you like for me to check and call the roll again?
No, I think we're okay.
They didn't sign off.
Okay.
They just took their cameras off.
Unless they were just taking off like me.
Exactly.
You're done.
Yeah, and we'll be calling the roll here momentarily as well.
We will. We have some good baseball to watch this weekend. Isn't Vanderbilt and UT playing in the World Series?
Yeah.
So exciting.
Yeah. Very exciting.
Happy Father's Day to all you fathers.
So nice.
Yay for y'all.
Thanks. Hey, Danny, you'll appreciate this. This is Joey. Both my daughters and all 4 of my grandkids are going to be in my house on Father's Day. So that's going to be great.
That's the best gift.
That's right.
That's wonderful.
Well, we're on baby watch. My daughter is expecting twins, identical twins. We don't know what they are.
Oh my
She
God.
is past 34 weeks and things are starting to happen. So we'll see. I don't know. You know,
What
it
is
could
it?
be
Well-
tomorrow, it could be next week. Their due date is July, but 36 weeks is considered full term, and she's pretty full term. They're over 5 pounds now. The girl
What
is
would
an
that take your
Amazon.
count up, your grandkid count up to?
Four.
4?
I wish they'd double like that a lot. That'd be so cool. I always wanted twins, so this is like the best thing. Tom and I are like, yay, we don't have to share. It's awesome. And we live in the same neighborhood, so
Oh,
That's good.
my granddaughter's spending the night tonight, so trying to show her some extra love. It's going to be a true shock to her system. Not 1, but 2.
Wow.
Well, I think the full moon is next week. So.
Ah, good. Well, she's a labor and delivery nurse, so she's on top of it.
I love it.
She says, oh, they'll just go up there and snatch him. I'm like, oh, nobody says that except a labor and delivery nurse. Right now for breach. I'm like, don't say that.
Lots of happy news. So we'll look forward to hearing more. That's so great, Annie. And it's
I'll
good to
be
see your face now.
Sending out photos, believe me.
Please. That's great. Well, let's reconvene here after that quick break. Thank you all. As we turn to new business, and we have 2 additional committee reports. The first coming from Chairman Duckett on finance and business operations. Please, sir.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The Finance and Business Operations Committee met in a special call meeting on June 11th to review and approve tuition and fees, and in regular session on Thursday, June 17th, 2021, to review and recommend approval of the following items. Minutes from the June 11th, 2021 special call meeting of the Finance and Business Operations Committee that includes consideration and approval of staff recommendations for maintenance fees, mandatory fees, and non-mandatory fees for academic year 2021-22. Consideration for approval of funding operations for the 2021-2022 fiscal year, and approval of the finalized estimated budgets for the 2020-2021 fiscal year. Consideration for approval of the capital budget request for the 2022-23 fiscal year, and consideration of the new TBR policy 7.04.00.00 parking traffic. As committee chair, I move that the board approve the report of the June 11th and June 17th, 2021 meetings of the Committee on Finance and Business Operations as presented.
Thank you, sir. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second, Hatch.
Thank you, Regent Hatch. Any further discussion, comments on the report of the Finance Committee? And once again, all of us know that these individual committee members put a lot of work into this process along the way these past few weeks, and Vice Chancellor Gibbs, so we are grateful. Hearing no discussion, We do have a motion and a second to approve. Madam Secretary, would you call the roll, please?
Thank you. Regent Apple?
Aye.
Regent Burdine?
Aye.
Regent Duckett?
Aye.
Regent George?
Aye.
Regent Gill?
Aye.
Regent Goldsmith?
Aye.
Regent Green?
Aye.
Regent Hatch?
Aye.
Commissioner Hatcher?
Aye.
Regent McEllier?
Aye.
Regent Powers?
Aye.
Vice Chair Reynolds?
Aye.
Regent Varlin?
Aye.
Regent Womp?
Aye.
Regent White?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Regent Duckett, as well. I'd like to turn to Regent Green, who serves as chairman of our Personnel and Compensation Committee. They too had a busy afternoon yesterday, or busy morning rather, yesterday with our personnel meeting. Regent Green?
Thank you, Madam Chair. The Personnel and Compensation Committee met in a special called meeting on June 1st to review and approve the system-wide compensation strategies, in a regular session on Thursday, June 17th, to review and recommend approval of the following items: proposed revision to General Personnel Policy 5.01.00.00, a new policy on employee discipline, proposed revisions to TBR Policy 7.01.00.00, firearms and other weapons, tenure and promotion recommendations for Tennessee College of Applied Technology, tenure and promotion recommendations for community colleges, faculty promotional increases, amended compensation plan in Southwest Community College, institutional requests for compensation plan payments from the state salary increase pool, executive incentive payments, president emeritus contracts for 6 individuals, faculty emeritus, and our evaluation of the chancellor. As committee chair, I move that the board approve the report of June 1st and June 17th meetings of the Committee on Personnel and Compensation as presented.
Thank you, Regent Green. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Regent Burdine. Any discussion? Hearing none. Once again, Sanja will act on the motion to approve the Personnel Committee actions and minutes from yesterday. If you would call the roll.
Thank you. Regent Apple?
Aye.
Regent Burdine?
Aye.
Regent Duckett?
Aye.
Regent George?
Aye.
Regent Gill?
Aye.
Regent Goldsmith?
Aye.
Regent Green?
Aye.
Regent Hatch?
Aye.
Commissioner Hatcher?
Aye.
Regent McEllier?
Aye.
Regent Powers?
Aye.
Vice Chair Reynolds?
Aye.
Regent Varlin?
Aye.
Regent Womp?
Aye.
Regent White?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Excellent. Thank you very much. And thank you again, Regent Green. Our next item under new business is with regard to rulemaking, and I will call on our General Counsel, Brian Lapps. Please, sir.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I appreciate it. And we're promised bringing these rulemaking hearings and rules across the goal line. I know you've spent a lot of time looking at them and have read them, but I just want to give you the update on where we are with them, what we need to do, and then ask for your approval, which will require 4 different roll call votes because they are four different rules. So that's where we are today. Is a request to approve the rules. Upon approval of the rules, they are then sent to the Attorney General for review, and then following review by the AG to the Secretary of State. They become effective 90 days after the Secretary of State posts them unless they are stayed. The only real reason they might be stayed is if there were concerns from the Joint Government Operations Committee. And then, but we have requested the review from the chairs on there, and that will get me to the next slide, which relates to the comments. As the board knows, the rulemaking hearing was delegated to Sanja and I, and we had that rulemaking hearing on June 15. Prior to the rulemaking hearing, we solicited and received written comments. We received one comment, more precisely. It was received in time to be included within your written materials, and it is in there. It had the highlights of the suggestions on that were with respect to the parking and traffic rules. Be mindful that the Tennessee Constitution has a $50 limit on fines that can be imposed unless a jury approves the fine of greater than $50. That's really not a problem for our schools. That most of the fines are $10 or $20. Police officers have authority to write fines as city, county if they need to. The other suggestion was that for transparency reasons that we change the approval process. The first draft had the approval process that the chancellor would approve the fine amounts. The suggestion was that the board should approve those fine amounts for transparency and open government reasons. So for that reason, we have adopted the comment, and we'll be asking you to approve it with the board approval process, and then the board would presumably be getting fines to approve, fine amounts to approve at the September meeting. The other substantive comments related to the student conduct and disciplinary sanctions rules, and that was to some minor clarifying language, and also to make clear that certain infractions might also be crimes. So that's in there as well. Turning now to the actual 4 rules before you on which I'm requesting the votes. The first one is contested case procedures. And again, I'll be very quick with these because you've seen them at least twice before. And this is a rule that would move from using our own policy to the contested case procedures in the Secretary of State's office to bring uniformity, more defensibility. This is not all that different substantively from our almost never used current process. And we would also be normally using administrative judges from the Secretary of State's office, although we could use others as appointed legally. So unless there are any questions about that, I think we're ready for a vote on the contested case rule. Or a motion to approve the contested case rule, and then a roll call vote. I should be more specific.
Any questions or comments of Brian at this point? And if we will entertain a motion to approve the contested case procedures.
I'll make that motion, Tom.
Okay. Tom White. Please.
Second, Greg.
Thank you, sir. Any discussion? Hearing none, as our counsel said, this does require a roll call vote. Madam Secretary.
Thank you. Regent Apple.
Aye.
Regent Burdine.
Aye.
Regent Duckett.
Aye.
Regent George.
Aye.
Regent Gill.
Aye.
Regent Goldsmith.
Aye.
Regent Green.
Aye.
Regent Hatch.
Aye.
Commissioner Hatcher.
Aye.
Regent McElyea. Regent McElyea.
Aye.
Oh, thank you. Regent Powers.
Aye.
Vice Chair Reynolds.
Aye.
Regent Varlin.
Aye.
Regent Wamp.
Aye.
Regent White.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Brian, I think we now head to parking and traffic. Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. This is exactly what it is. It's the parking and traffic rules that I have discussed just briefly before. This is being removed from the student conduct and disciplinary section of the rules because it applies to more than just students. Generally speaking, the police, as I alluded to briefly, have the discretion to write campus citations or city-county citations. They usually use the campus citations to be educational and the city or county citations when something more serious happens. It contains more detail and specificity than the current policies that we have, and it also adopts the written comments that I previously discussed.
Thank you, sir. If there are no questions for Brian at this juncture, we will entertain a motion to approve on parking and traffic.
So moved, Hatch.
Thank you, sir. A second?
Second.
Apple.
I think I heard Regent Apple there. Any further discussion? If not, Sandra, you are up once again.
Thank you. Regent Apple?
Aye.
Regent Burdine?
Aye.
Regent Duckett?
Aye.
Regent George?
Aye.
Thank you. Regent Gill?
Aye.
Regent Goldsmith?
Aye.
Regent Green?
Aye.
Regent Hatch?
Aye.
Commissioner Hatcher?
Aye.
Regent McElgay?
Aye.
Regent Powers?
Aye.
Vice Chair Reynolds?
Aye.
Regent Varlin?
Aye.
Regent Womp?
Aye.
Regent White?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you very much. Brian?
Thank you. The third one is student conduct and disciplinary procedures. As I previously explained, this introduces a lot more specificity into the current policy. It details the standards of conduct that students must follow and can be disciplined for not following in greater detail. And it also has a whole lot more procedural detail setting out the processes, but they are generally reflective of the current processes. Consistent with legislative changes that I've explained over the past months, it removes the ability for campuses to make substantive alterations or adoptions to the rules, and it adopts the written comments that I have previously discussed and that are in your materials.
Thank you, sir. Once again, we need a motion to approve these student conduct and disciplinary procedures, please.
So moved, Stone.
Thank you, Regent White. And a second?
Second,
Second.
Yolanda.
Thank you, both Regents Green and Duckett. Any further questions of our council? Hearing none, let's call the roll. Ms. Mason?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Regent Apple?
Aye.
Regent Burdine?
Aye.
Regent Duckett?
Aye.
Regent George?
Aye.
Regent Gill? Regent Gill? Regent Gill? Regent Goldsmith?
Aye.
Regent Green?
Aye.
Regent Hatch?
Aye.
Commissioner Hatcher?
Aye.
Regent McElgay?
Aye.
Regent Powers?
Aye.
Vice Chair Reynolds?
Aye.
Regent Varlin?
Yes.
Regent Womp?
Aye.
Regent White?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you very much. And finally, Title IX compliance, which I know we've all spent a good deal of time on these past few months. Brian?
Yes, ma'am. This is the Title IX compliance rule. It is consistent with what is the current TBR sexual misconduct policy based on federal regulations, includes the due process procedures that are included in both the federal regulations as well as Tennessee state law. We received no comments to this rule.
Okay, thank you, sir. A motion to approve, please.
So moved, Varlin.
Thank you, Regent Varlin. And a second?
So moved, Apple.
Thank you. Any further discussion or any questions for our council? Hearing none, Secretary Mason, please call the roll.
For clarification, was that Regent Apple that provided the second?
Yes, ma'am. I think there was two of us, though.
Okay. I didn't catch the second, but I've got Regent Varlin as making the motion and Regent Apple as the second. So,
yeah, that's correct.
I'll go ahead and take the roll. Regent Apple?
Aye.
Regent Burdine?
Aye.
Regent Duckett,
Aye.
Regent George,
Aye.
Regent Gill, Regent Gill, Regent Goldsmith,
Aye.
Regent Green,
Aye.
Regent Hatch,
Aye.
Commissioner Hatcher,
Aye.
Regent McEllier,
Aye.
Regent Powers,
Aye.
Vice Chair Reynolds,
Aye.
Regent Garland,
Aye.
Regent Wamp,
Aye.
Regent White.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you all very much. And Brian, thank you. I know this has been a time-consuming process. You have one more item for us that is not an action item today, but rather a notice, please, sir.
Correct. Thank you. With respect to changes to to any changes being proposed to the bylaws require that notice be provided at one meeting and then any action be taken at the next meeting. What we're proposing in next slide, please, Carol.
I'm sorry, Brian, I don't have that.
Okay. All right. Well, then, consistent with what is in materials, what we are proposing is that a revision to section, I believe it's section 4 of the bylaws, a provision of the bylaws that, hold on, let me get it. The proposed change is to delete section 5(1)(f) of the bylaws, which is part of the duties of the president section and currently provides the president shall make an annual report to the board through the chancellor of the work and condition of the institution under his or her control. Consistent with what Dr. Deaton was discussing earlier today about sometimes long white papers may not be the best means of conveying information. I think what this really is a reflection of the change of times. This was a late 20th century provision as best I can tell. And we're really not suggesting that the board receive less information or not be able to request additional information, but rather that just to keep up with the times and more importantly, perhaps to reflect what we're doing, that we not provide actual reports, but rather on an annual basis from the colleges, but rather have interactive dashboards that are available for the public to see, for the board members to see in real time that are more useful, user-friendly. So that's what is being proposed for your consideration at the September board meeting.
Any questions of Brian about this? If not, thank you, Brian, and more to come than in September and appreciate you continuing to look at these things and updating us to what looks and feels more appropriate for 2021 and beyond. So thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. So, Chancellor, we're now moving into a few sort of bittersweet items, if you will. And after seeing Dr. Boyer this morning and knowing of her incredible track record at Dyersburg State, I know we'll have a chance to salute her along the way as she heads to a well-deserved retirement. But as you mentioned, we will be beginning this search process, and here's an important step.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. As all of you are aware, President Boyer did recently notify me of her intent to retire effective December 31st, 2021. And as our chair said, this is a very bittersweet moment for us because she will be greatly missed in that role. The draft criteria for the next president of Dyersburg State Community Colleges was included in the board meeting materials that you received. If the criteria is approved, committee members and chair of the committee will be announced in the very near future. We have asked Greenwood Asher and Associates to assist us in the search for the new president. And Madam Chair, unless there are any changes, I respectfully ask approval of the proposed criteria for the next president at Dyersburg State Community College.
Questions for the Chancellor? If not, may we have a motion to approve the criteria for this important search at Dyersburg State.
So moved, Yolanda.
Thank you, Regent Green. And a second?
Seconds, Tom.
Thank you, Regent Long. Any discussion? If not, Sandra, would you call the roll to approve the criteria for the president of Dyersburg State Community College?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Regent Apple.
Aye.
Regent Burdine.
Aye.
Regent Duckett.
Aye.
Regent George.
Aye.
Regent Gill. Regent Goldsmith.
Aye.
Regent Green.
Aye.
Regent Hatch.
Aye.
Commissioner Hatcher.
Aye.
Regent McElhinney.
Aye.
Regent Powers.
Aye.
Vice Chair Reynolds.
Aye.
Regent Varlin.
Aye.
Regent Whomp.
Aye.
Regent White.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Very good. Thank you all. As I said, it's an important first step, and Chancellor, we look forward to hearing more. And thank you, Dr. Boyer. So more to come. Another bittersweet, albeit sad moment. Chancellor, let us consider a building naming at Northeast State Community College, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And it is truly my honor to bring before you today a request by the Northeast State Community College Building Naming Committee, requesting approval to name the college's current faculty office building the Lana Hamilton Hall in memory of Dr. Alana R. Hamilton. Dr. Hamilton, or Lana, as she preferred to be addressed, devoted almost 26 years to Northeast State Community College, its students, faculty, and staff. She made significant contributions in a variety of ways throughout her time at the college. She was initially hired by the Northeast State as an adjunct faculty member, and over the span of 26 years at the college, she advanced to several positions, including full-time instructor, tenured assistant professor, associate professor, and ultimately the vice president for academic affairs. Lana was responsible for very significant growth during this tenure at the college, to include increasing articulation agreements, program offerings, and off-campus instructional sites. She was instrumental in coordinating the development of Kingsport Academic Village, and under her guidance and supervision, the college added 2 primary instructional sites, Northeast State at Bristol and Northeast State at Johnson City. Those of you who knew Lana and had the pleasure of working with her have experienced what it feels like to lose a cherished friend, a dedicated educator, and an administrator. She was truly a shining star in our TBR family. I have no doubt that Northeast State will continue to reap the benefits of Dr. Lana Hamilton's service to the college for many years to come. Her influence helped to improve students' lives in the communities that they live in. It is likely that some of her students' children, extended family, and friends have been or will be influenced by Lana because she had such a positive attitude and her teaching style was effective and memorable. In support of Dr. Hamilton and Northeast State's building naming request, Lana's colleagues submitted stories of their time with her and how she made an unforgettable impression on their lives. Their stories are so inspiring and heartwarming that I hope you will read them. You can find them in the board materials for this meeting. They truly do capture the essence of Dr. Lana Hamilton. Madam Chair, it is my honor to bring this recommendation to name the faculty office building at Northeast State Community College, Lana Hamilton Hall, before the board for your consideration.
Thank you, and beautifully said. Regent Burdine, would you like to offer the motion to approve this building naming?
Yes, thank you very much. I make the motion for in honor of Dr. Hamilton. Thank you.
Thank you. So may we have a second?
Second. Duckett.
Thank you, Regent Duckett. Any discussion or comments? Hearing none. And again, with great appreciation to Dr. Hamilton and the many contributions she made to this system, let's act on the motion to name this building in her honor at Northeast State. Sandra, would you please call the roll?
Thank you. I'll be glad to. Regent Apple?
Aye.
Regent Burdine?
Aye.
Regent Duckett?
Aye.
Regent George?
Aye.
Regent Gill?
Aye.
Thank you. I thought I saw you where you rejoined us. Regent Goldsmith?
Aye.
Regent Green?
Aye.
Regent Hatch?
Aye.
Commissioner Hatcher?
Aye.
Regent McEllier?
Aye.
Regent Powers?
Aye.
Vice Chair Reynolds?
Aye.
Regent Varlin?
Aye.
Regent Wamp?
Aye.
Regent White?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously, and I believe we have President Bullock on the line. Vice Chair Reynolds, if you'd like to call on her.
Thank you. President Bullock? Dr. Bullock, are you with us?
Dr. Bullock, I think if you could select *6, that will unmute you.
You hear me now?
Yes, thank you. Welcome.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
Chancellor Tydings, Regent Burdine, members of the board, colleagues of Dr. Lana Hamilton on the TBR staff, and colleagues of Dr. Lana Hamilton across the TBR college system. It is my honor to say a few words related to this request by Northeast State Community College to name our faculty building Lana Hamilton Hall. In the words of William Wilson, our humanities dean with over 28 years of experience at Northeast State, character can be defined in many ways, but one essential quality is courage. A courage to endure and to love others no matter what life has brought to us. Lana showed us how to face death with spirit and hope. As a biologist, she knew what she was facing with the cancer and the damage from the stroke, but she continued her speech therapy, hoping even then to better herself, to live. Lana Hamilton Hall. To all of us who have a living memory of Lana, it would be a good thing for us to have a place on campus where we could go and say to someone, and even more importantly, to say to ourselves that this building, Lana Hamilton Hall, this cornerstone of her life where she worked so hard for all of the students and for all of us, is now her home here at Northeast State. Here, her energy will still envelop us with its lithe grace and soft touch that was Lana's true power. Then we can once again remind ourselves that Lana represented the best of us. She truly made us all better human beings, better teachers, better administrators than we ever thought we could be. Thank you, Lana. Thank you. Therefore, it is with humility and enthusiasm that I thank the TBR board for your approval of the naming of the Northeast State Community College faculty building as Lana Hamilton Hall. We have plans for an in-person celebration of this naming recognition in October, and we'll be inviting each of you to our campus for the dedication. Thank you, Chair.
Oh, thank you, President Bullock. Beautiful words. Thank you. And thank you for giving us this opportunity, you and your team, to bring this to us to honor her. Thank you so much. It means the world. With that, we have 2 resolutions of appreciation today to honor a couple of folks with whom we've been privileged to serve. We will take these up together, but I will begin with Regent White, who will offer the resolution for our faculty regent, Kenneth Goldsmith. Mr. White?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair, and I appreciate the opportunity to present this resolution, a resolution of appreciation for the service of Dr. Kenneth Goldsmith as faculty regent for the Tennessee Board of Regents. Whereas the Tennessee Board of Regents in regular session June 18, 2021 wishes to express its sincere appreciation to Dr. Kenneth Goldsmith, faculty member and director of legal studies at Chattanooga State Community College, for his service as faculty regent, and whereas he was appointed by Governor Bill Lee to serve as a faculty regent for the 2019-2020 and 2020-2021 academic years, and whereas he received his Bachelor of Arts degree from the University of Florida, Master of Public Administration degree from Florida Atlantic University, Juris Doctorate degree from the University of Florida, and Doctorate of Business Administration from the University of Phoenix. He is licensed to practice law in Georgia and Florida and is a licensed mediator in both states. And whereas serving as the Director of Legal Studies, Dr. Goldsmith manages degree, transfer, and certificate programs in pre-law and paralegal studies at Chattanooga State and was the college's representative on the TBR statewide committee for paralegal education. He is a two-time past president of the college's faculty senate. And whereas as an expert in internationalization, he founded the college's International Business Lecture Series, in which more than 30 speakers from Asia, Europe, and South America have presented on such global topics as trade, economics, entrepreneurship, and human trafficking. In 2013, he was awarded a TBR grant to study internationalization of Tennessee community colleges. His research serves as the benchmark for internationalization efforts at Chattanooga State. And whereas after the completion of his research, he was appointed to serve on statewide international education and study abroad committees, and a year later received a year-long sabbatical to teach in China, where he was a visiting scholar in law at Ningbo University of Technology. From China, Dr. Goldsmith traveled to Taiwan, where he served to visit Taiwanese universities, trade organizations, and business startups. He has also taught legal research and international trade at Ramkhamhaeng University in Bangkok, Thailand, and lectured on international management at Palaki University in Olomouc, Czech Republic. And I apologize for those mispronunciations. And whereas in 2017, Dr. Goldsmith created Chattanooga State's first study abroad program, partnership program with the state's International Education Consortium. His Global Leadership Honors course included a service learning capstone program in Athens, Greece. In 2020, he introduced a new study abroad program for students in the History of Common Law course, which takes students to London, England to see the birthplace of the common law legal system, also in use in the United States. And whereas Dr. Goldsmith has been active in community and civic affairs, including current service on the board of directors of the Jewish Federation of Greater Chattanooga and on the board of directors for the Midwest Institute for International and Intercultural Education, a consortium of two-year colleges across the U.S. supporting curriculum and professional development, oversees projects for faculty and students, and professional networking. He is a member of Leadership Chattanooga alumni, the class of 2016. Whereas he has fulfilled his responsibilities on the board in an exemplary manner by contributing to the governance of the institutions within the board's purview and by voicing concerns and views of faculty for educational quality, and whereas he has provided leadership, guidance, and expertise to the board in the areas of articulation and student life, and has represented his colleagues and students with unwavering and distinguished service, and whereas he actively devoted his time and attention to deliberations within the Committee on Academic Policies and Programs and the Committee on Workforce Development, where he brought invaluable insight from the campus level, and whereas he is an individual of high integrity and wisdom with a sincere interest in the welfare of the college system of Tennessee and Tennessee higher education in general, and whereas his tenure has been marked by selfless support of the college system, its students, faculty, and committees. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Tennessee Board of Regents expresses its sincere appreciation to Dr. Kenneth Goldsmith for his dedication and contributions to the board and its institutions, and extends best wishes to him in all his future pursuits. Thank you.
Thank you, Regent White. Regent Wamp, would you do the honors of reading the resolution for our student regent, William McEllier?
Yeah, I'd be honored to. And first of all, in the most unusual of circumstances, I'm just quite proud of William, who represents my hometown very well and my hometown community college. And maybe at some point in the future when these meetings go back to normal, he can join us for more of a formal one because, once a regent, always a regent. And his year here has not been the most thrilling of times to serve on the board. But here we go. Whereas the Tennessee Board of Regents in regular session wishes to express its sincere appreciation to Mr. William Mickelye for his dedicated and valuable service as a student regent, and whereas Mr. Mickelye was a diligent student and leader at Chattanooga State Community College, where he excelled in a number of academic, student, government, and extracurricular activities prior to earning his associate degree in mass communications, media studies. He served as parliamentarian for the Student Government Association, overseeing SGA meetings for parliamentary procedure, facilitating discussion and debate, and organizing annual SGA elections. Mr. Mickelye has also served as a delegate to the Tennessee Intercollegiate State Legislature. And whereas Mr. Mickelye was a member of the Global Scholars Program at Chattanooga State and was inducted into Phi Theta Kappa Honor Society, these memberships offered him the opportunity to take a wide variety of honors classes during his time at Chattanooga State. And whereas he is also an exemplary student leader, serving as webmaster and contributing to the Communicator, the student newspaper. Through his involvement in the college's media club, he wrote and directed a film project that turned into a campus-wide effort, which later was screened at Chattanooga State's Film Festival. He also worked as a student assistant to the Director of Media Services in the college's media services offices. And whereas, despite maintaining a rigorous class, study, work, and extracurricular schedule, he performed volunteer work for Child Evangelism Fellowship, where he taught children at schools and community centers in the Chattanooga area, and at Hope Force International, where he worked in disaster and humanitarian relief services. And whereas Mr. Mickelye was appointed student regent by the Honorable Bill Lee, Governor of the state of Tennessee, for the 2020-2021 academic year. In that role, he represented the interests, concerns, and voices of more than 100,000 students across the college system of Tennessee, a role whose importance was heightened during his tenure during the global COVID-19 pandemic that dramatically altered the delivery of classes and services for students. While persevering as a student himself, he took his representative role seriously, advocating on behalf of his fellow students' needs. He participated in a system-wide student government president's council meeting in order to better serve as a liaison between that body and student leaders and the board so that he could most fully represent the voices of his constituents he was appointed to represent. And whereas he devoted considerable time and effort as a member of the Committee on Academic Policies and Programs in Student Life, his contributions also included providing insight on important issues concerning legislation impacting students and student life on TBR campuses. And whereas, as a member of the board, he has been an instrument of positive and effective change for his state and its people. During his tenure, Mr. Mickelye unfailingly fulfilled his responsibilities through active and eager participation in board deliberations and contributed greatly to the governance of the system. And whereas he is an individual of high integrity and wisdom and truly has a sincere interest in the welfare of the Tennessee Board of Regents system and Tennessee higher education. And now, therefore, be it resolved that the Tennessee Board of Regents expresses its sincere appreciation to Mr. William Mickelye for his dedication and many contributions to the Tennessee Board of Regents system.
Regent Womp, would you like to offer a motion to approve both of these resolutions?
I would like to offer that.
Thank you, sir. And a second perhaps from Regent White?
Would love to, as long as Dr. Goldsmith will pronounce the names of the educational institutions in the Czech Republic and and China. So we get it accurate in the minutes, okay?
Let's hear it. Let's hear it. Regent Goldsmith.
One in Thailand can be pronounced any way you want because no one in this group here probably knows the proper pronunciation, including myself. It's Palachy in Czech Republic, and Olomouc is the name of the city that it's in. I'm trying to remember the proper pronunciation. I always said Ramkhamhaken,
Oh, thank you. We have a motion and a second. Regents, any discussion, comments you'd like to make on our fellow regents here, please?
This is Regent Varlin.
Yes,
I just want to say that we are so blessed to have representation from faculty and students, and as regents that are on full time, we take your involvement and your comments and your thoughts so seriously, because you really are where the rubber meets the road. And we appreciate, even with this weird year, you guys have done so well at getting involved and really making some great offerings, and just it has to be very difficult to learn something drinking from a fire hose on a video, because 1 year is just not very long to learn what's going on by any means. But just want to say thank you personally, as well as you have just done a fantastic job.
Well said, as always.
Well, I'll also say Regent Goldsmith, I feel like in my time on the board is in many ways set the bar in terms of his conscientiousness and willingness to ask hard questions, even when it felt from time to time like he was swimming upstream to ask some tough questions, and I appreciate that. And before the world went to hell, he and I had an opportunity to sit and break bread together, and just appreciate his lifetime of service here, but specifically the leadership he's brought to this board.
Very nice.
Kenneth, this is Regent Kill. I want to echo what Regent Womp has said. I also had multiple discussions with you, always found you to be insightful and bring wisdom and being unafraid in dispensing it. And I appreciate that very much. I'm going to miss you. Had I known you had so many legal degrees, I probably would have been somewhat more cautious in our discussions, but nevertheless, I really appreciate what you've contributed. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm non-practicing, by the way.
Very nice. All beautifully said. If there is no further discussion, we do have a motion and a second to approve these resolutions for our colleagues. Sandra, would you kindly call the roll, please?
I'll be glad to. And thank you both for your service. It's been a pleasure to serve you. Regent Apple?
Aye.
Regent Burdine?
Aye.
Regent Duckett?
Aye.
Regent George?
Aye.
Regent Gill?
Aye.
Regent Goldsmith?
Aye.
Regent Green?
Aye.
Regent Hatch?
Aye.
Commissioner Hatcher?
Aye.
Regent McEllier?
Aye.
Regent Powers?
Aye.
Vice Chair Reynolds?
Aye.
Regent Varlin?
Aye.
Regent Womp?
Aye.
Regent White?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
Excellent. Thank you. William, tell us about your plans. What's next for you?
So I'm going into my senior year at UTC. I'm doing an internship through Chattanooga State, which Regent Goldsmith is actually heading up. So I'll get to see him for the remainder of the summer. So that's exciting. And then I will hopefully graduate in the spring, and who knows what will happen after that.
Exciting. Will you keep us posted?
I definitely will, and I'm hoping that I can come around to one of the meetings once they're all in person and formally introduce myself.
And actually, we're hoping maybe as early as September when we're just up the road at Roane State. So Sandra will be in touch with you on that. Any comments you want to share with the board?
I would just like to thank everyone. I definitely learned a lot. hopefully I was able to contribute in some way. But I will say this, and I've told several students this semester at Chattanooga State, when they ask about what the board does and how the community colleges are controlled. I don't think I fully appreciated what you guys did for us beforehand, but I can definitely say now that there is a whole very large group of people that work very hard for the students of Tennessee, and that's encouraging for all the students to, especially with what's happened through the COVID-19 pandemic, to see the effort that you guys have put in and continually work to make sure that the students go on and succeed throughout their lives.
Thank you. That's very thoughtful, and that means a great deal to all of us. It has been our honor to serve with you, and you have been an active and excellent contributor to this process. So hopefully we will see you again soon and look forward to hearing more.
Thank you.
Dr. Goldsmith, I will simply echo the words of others. You have been a valuable contributor in so many ways, and as Mark Gill said, provocative at times, and that's a good thing, and insightful, as the resolution says. Any comments for us, other than us thanking you profoundly for the 2 years you have spent with us?
Yeah, just let me take a minute. From the first day, from the first phone call from you, Emily, and the welcome and the mentoring, then to the trip to Memphis, where we had the orientation. It's been a wonderful ride. The thing that strikes me, and I think William has said the same thing, is that every meeting I've learned something else. So at first I said, well, it's a 1 year learning curve and it's really tough to participate, but it's an ongoing learning curve. There is so much when you work at a college, whether you're a student or a faculty member, that is you just to wrap your mind around thinking from a system perspective, it takes a lot of effort, and I'm still learning on that, and I hope to still continue that even when not being on the service on the board. But I still think there are things that I'll be able to add to it from my experience on the board. Everyone was great. It was, we did miss those meetings, particularly when we would be at a campus. I got to do one at Walters State, and I found that was another way of really getting engaged and understanding the perspective of all other board members, including the staff and the people at the colleges that we would visit. And Chancellor Tidings, I just want to say it was good working with you again. We worked when you were here as president at Chat State. So it was an easy ability to work with you, in my service, considering that, I had known you and served on your committee that hired you. It's just a unique experience. And I'll add one thing for William. I think we still need to meet to talk about you going to law school, because I think you said that was on one of your plans. So hopefully we can meet, and hopefully I will. If you send me an invite, I'll see you up at Roane State. So thank you for everything.
You got it. Thank you. It's been an honor. Thanks to you both. At this point in our agenda, I would like to figuratively or symbolically hand the gavel to Regent Duckett, please, for our next agenda item.
Thank you. Yes, I checked to make sure I was off mute. Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. It's my pleasure to assume the ceremonial gavel to conduct the elections of the Vice Chair for the Tennessee Board of Regents for the upcoming year. And at this time, I would like to call for nominations for the Vice Chair for 2021-2022.
This is Regent Varlin.
Yes.
May I make a nomination, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Chair, it is my sincere pleasure to nominate Regent Emily Reynolds to serve as Vice Chair for the 2021-2022 term. Emily has provided great leadership and dedication to the Tennessee Board of Regents, and we have benefited greatly by her experience and appreciate so much her willingness to serve the people of Tennessee.
Thank you, Regent Varlin. Is there a second to that nomination?
Mr. Chair, this is Regent Burdine. I enthusiastically concur with Regent Varlin's comments. I'm very eager to follow Vice Chair Reynolds again for another year. And so absolutely, we'll send the
Thank you, Regent Burdine. You have heard a motion as well as a second to elect Emily Reynolds as the Vice Chair of the Board of Regents for the 2021-2022 year. At this time, I would ask our Secretary to conduct a roll call vote.
Thank you, Regent Duckett. Regent Apple?
An enthusiastic aye.
Regent Burdine?
Aye.
Regent Duckett?
Aye.
Regent George?
An absolute aye.
Regent Gill?
Aye, and Emily, wouldn't have thought you would want to sign up for another year of headaches, but thank you for doing so.
I would miss you too much. Thank you.
I wasn't just referring to me, but I do understand your comment.
Regent Goldsmith?
With a fitting last vote, aye.
Thank you. Regent Green?
Absolutely aye.
Regent Hatch?
Aye, and with a comment, those of you that have heard me say this before, I met Emily in 1969 at a brand new junior high school in Nashville. And if you guys can believe this, she was just as involved and energetic and effective in back then as she ever is today. So glad to do it, and can't wait for looking forward to another year under your leadership, Ms. Reynolds.
Commissioner Hatcher?
I suppose it's an aye. I'm just kidding. It's an aye.
Thank you. Regent McEllier?
Aye.
Regent Powers?
Aye.
Regent Varlin?
Wholeheartedly aye.
Regent Womp?
Aye.
Regent White?
Batting cleanup, I get to make it unanimous. Aye.
Thank you.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam. Thank you, Madam Secretary. Congratulations, Vice Chair Reynolds, and it is my pleasure to turn back over the ceremonial gavel to you for any comments that you might have and to conclude our meeting.
Thank you, Regent Duckett. Thank you all very much. You touch my heart each and every day. It is a real honor knowing you, working with you. Thanks for putting up with me. And like every other meeting, in this one we have laughed, I have cried, and you have really humbled me with your kind words and your support. This is a team effort. And so I look forward to this next year with so many challenges and great things on our plate. So thank you all very much. With that, Chancellor, I will turn to you for any closing announcements for us. Thank you, Madam Chair. And again, thank you for agreeing to take us on for another year. We are so grateful. I do want to say thank you to Regent McElway and Regent Goldsmith. Regent Goldsmith's absolutely right. He did sit on the committee that hired me to come to Chattanooga State, and had the privilege of having dinner with him one of the first nights in that interview process. And I knew from the quality of the professional staff there and the faculty that that was a place I wanted to be, and appreciated his friendship and guidance from the very beginning. And you've done so on this board as well. So thank you very much for that. We do have our meeting coming up in September in person. So excited to have us all back, the band back together again. We will be going to Rome State, who will be hosting us there. We're looking forward to all that they have to share with us, and know that it will be a fantastic meeting. I thank the staff and everyone who worked so diligently to pull this meeting together and all of our previous virtual meetings, and know that you too are looking forward to doing this in person. So thank you for your great work. Thank you for another wonderful season.
Thank you, Chancellor. Now, this has been a very productive 2 mornings, but I know we are all excited at the possibility of being together again in September. I will add, however, Commissioner Hatcher, I think the Chancellor is going to keep a close eye on you over the course of these summer months before we reconvene. But with a special thanks to Russ and the team for the good work around the strategic plan. This has been a work in progress. So many people have touched it. And for us to be able to culminate that good work with today's vote is very significant. Well, everyone, we will be back together soon. We'll have a couple of called meetings this summer around Vol State and hopefully a new president in McMinnville as well. So stay tuned. But in the meantime, stay safe and healthy. Again, thank you all. And we'll keep up the good work. Take care, everybody. Have a good summer. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.